All right, chat. Today we got the absolute worst jobs in history. And then looking at the thumbnail, bro, we got the royal butt wiper. This man's job was to wipe booty. And some of y'all do this. Hey, if you work at a nursing home, I know you be wiping booty, bro. Old man booty diarrhea all over the legs, bro. You're welcome. I just gave you PTSD. Anyways, shout out to the chat history. Link to the original video down below. Let's check it out.
The worst jobs in history.
Gong farmer.
If you ever think your job's crappy, try having to plunge into a pit of literal human doo-doo feces every single night. Way back in the day in good old England, some daring men made a career out of wading through human excrement. So-called gong farmers were tasked with draining out cesspits filled to the brim with offensive butt slop. The profession had existed for centuries, but it saw its height between the years of 1485 and 1603, also known as the Tudor period. Oi, I got some shooter for you.
Ew, brother, hygiene at like in this era, even like medieval, oh my God. Chat, hey, English is my second language. But anyways, like the early periods of histories, bro, their hygiene was so disgusting. And I always get that question where it's like, yo, if you could go back but keep the same knowledge you have now, would you be able to? No, bruh. Their hygiene is disgusting. I feel like we would all die by the age of 25, 30, man. And I'm approaching that, so I'll be dead. In DR, bro, they do this still now. Like, if you go to the bathroom, usually the bathroom is like this little hut with like a hole in the ground. And it's like a deep ass hole. Yeah, that's disgusting. And there are people that do that, bro, that they have to get the shit and I guess, I don't know, throw it out somewhere. DR is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Anyways, what's good, Kawazi?
This was way before the invention.
That right there.
I got some shooter for you. Since this was way before the invention of the turlet, people were content with just slamming their cheeks down in a public latrine to pinch off a quick loaf.
Yep.
The other problem was the lack of availability of somewhere to go. Towards the end of the 14th century, it's estimated that there was only one public bathroom per 2,000 people.
What?
Plus, keep in mind that all of that
2,000 people, raw booty chicks hitting up the toilet. Chat, 2,000 booties on here. Just raw. That's crazy.
Of somewhere to go. Towards the end of the 14th century,
why is this here?
It's estimated that there was only one public bathroom per 2,000 people. Plus, keep in mind that all of that human waste was just piling up in a literal stone-lined hole in the ground. So you were just dropping logs onto a mountain of timber. The local government, realizing that this horrid threat to public health was fermenting beneath everyone's feet, took action to allow the construction of private outhouses and latrines in residential areas as a way to disperse the smelly sewage. It didn't work all that well.
Yeah.
So with dookie levels rising, help was needed to drain the pits.
What's good, regular guy?
The gong farmer.
The gong farmer. Yeah, bro. That's kind of crazy. Anyways, we are watching the absolute worst jobs in history. And right now we got the gong farmer, the person that picks up dookie.
Term gong deriving from an Old English term meaning to go. They were also referred to as the much more mysterious and cooler sounding title of nightmen, as the only time that they were allowed to perform their duties was under the shroud of night, and that really sucked. There were no flashlights, spotlights, or illumination of any kind. You just had to hope that the moon was shining brightly to light your way through the filth. The nightmen would enter these cesspits and drain the contents using buckets and shovels. Excrement was loaded into barrels and carted off to be dumped near the River Thames. Don't worry, it was used as fertilizer later.
That's what I was gonna say.
These men would be
the only good use I see out of this would obviously be fertilizers, but bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. We have it good, chat. Our health is up there. Like, we have waste. Like, think of a toilet. Is it not crazy like that? How you just flush it and your dookie just travels somewhere, it's gone, and you don't gotta deal with it. Imagine living during this era, bro. We have it good. And some of y'all be sad and shit, man. Just appreciate what y'all got. Take your phone away. Look at you. Look at you. Take your toilet away. Look at you, bro. Come on now. Take your car away. Look at you. Bro, lock in with life, man, before I really boom y'all for real.
Don't worry. It was used as fertilizer later. Maybe.
Wait, what you say, Vash? How much they gotta pay you to be a gong farmer? Nowadays, I'm not doing it. Back in the day, if I really needed money, like during the 1400s, because, hey, I'm grandpa status, bro. Man, if I had to do it, bro, I gotta do what I gotta do, bro. I would definitely hate my life, but if it pays the bills, it pays the bills.
These men would be knee-deep, waist-deep, even neck-deep in the stuff, which had its own risks. The first and foremost being asphyxiation.
Never mind.
Cesspits were often enclosed spaces with little to no ventilation, so the buildup of noxious and toxic gases was a very real threat.
Yeah.
Although rare, a gong farmer could pass out from a lack of fresh air and drown in the waste. Another risk was poor maintenance. Cesspits were typically drained as needed, which, depending on the size of the thing, could be up to 2 years between sloppy scoops. Since these pits just sat there and rotted, it was common for stone walls to collapse in on the farmers while they harvested their crops. Any scrapes or bumps would certainly get infected, which could only lead to a painful death. But these high risks were met with high reward. Since the job was less than desirable, gong farmers made quite a healthy living, about 6 pence a day. Now, I'm not quite sure what that is in non-silly sounding money, but sounds pretty good. Problem is though, gong farmers perpetually reeked from their labors and were only permitted to live in certain areas of the city, with most of the public actively avoiding them and, well, treating them like crap.
Ugh, I figured, what did they say? 6 bottle caps or something? 6 pennies? I don't know, but it's not worth it. I know I said I'll do it if like I really needed it, which again, I would have to be so down bad. I'm talking about like homeless, you feel me? But nah, that job is not for me.
Now, if you're looking for a soul-crushing...
Oh, look at that right there. Beautiful game. Chat, I always mention RuneScape, and y'all never know what I'm talking about. You guys know no ball, bruh. Feel me?
Body-breaking job that pays next to nothing. You're an idiot. But I could recommend that you...
What do you say? Sorry.
Now, if you're looking for a soul-crushing, body-breaking job that pays next to nothing, you're an idiot. But I could recommend that you apply for the occupation of chimney sweep. These services were all the rage in, you guessed it, England's Tudor period, but the job has existed for hundreds of years. Rapid urbanization led to the construction of a lot of buildings, and each one of them suckers needs a source of heat. Gotta keep them English toesies nice and warm during the miserable gray winter months until the arrival of the miserable gray summer months. So a lot of fireplaces and chimneys were built to meet that demand. You do know how a fireplace works, right? Make fire, fire make heat and smoke go up through chimney and blow out the top. But all of that burning of wood and coal creates lots of icky, carbon-heavy, flammable deposits that build up within the chimney. Big problem, cause if that's not properly cleared out, then things can just go. And there goes not only your house, but a few neighbors' houses as collateral damage.
Oh, true.
Well, the higher-ups didn't like the risk of their kingdom going up.
You put that stupid ass alarm, bro?
Houses as collateral damage. Well, the higher-ups didn't like the risk of their kingdom going up in smoke at any given time, so they mandated that chimneys must be swept at least 4 times a year or face heavy fines.
Nice.
Thus, the employment of chimney sweeps became critical. Nice. The problem, though, is that chimneys at the time weren't exactly designed for human entry and cleaning. Bugger. Most flue networks in the building were grouped together on the roof, but could have sharp turns as they angled out towards their respective fireplaces or furnaces. To make matters even worse, regulations shrunk flue sizes down to as little as 9 by 9 inches. This made it nearly impossible for full-grown men to slip through the cracks. The solution?
Children?
Children.
Yep.
Really young children.
What?
Adorable, wide-eyed orphans were yoinked from poorhouses and taken on as apprentices called climbing boys, with opportunities to one day grow into master sweepers themselves, if they lived that long. If it wasn't obvious, chimney sweeping was extremely dangerous, especially for the little limber lads. Boys as young as 6 years old were sent up chimneys and told to get scrubbing. The physical dangers were abundant as several children
not only physical, but also I feel like internal, right? Respiratory, right? These kids don't know any better, so they're gonna be breathing in all that. What did it say? Built up carbon something. Is that not bad for you, bro? If it enters your nostrils or something?
Sent up chimneys and told to get scrubbing. The physical dangers were abundant as several children had died from getting stuck or horribly burned from scaling the scalding bricks. Keep in mind that these fireplaces were almost always in use, so those chimneys were hot and ready like a carry-out pizza. Now, if the cramming didn't kill you, the scrubbing would. Soot and creosote, the organic carbonaceous byproducts of burning wood and coal, are carcinogenic, So if you're trapped in a confined space, just scrub-a-dub-dubbing
Breathing
away
that
while
in.
sucking up hits of cancer-causing black powder all day, every day, things are not going to turn out well for you. But it actually wasn't your lungs that you needed to worry about. No, it was your balls.
Huh?
Scrotal squamous cell carcinoma, also known as chimney sweeps carcinoma, or just straight up scrotal cancer,
Oh, so this is
was
literally
a death sentence. Something I didn't mention until now was that the young children, as a way to fit easier into the narrow hot chimneys, often went commando. No shirt, no shoes, no pants, but all service. The constant exposure to soot and such,
dude. Constant exposure of that, rubbing on your meat, rubbing on your balls, your booty. What did I say? Raw booty cheeks? So imagine one of these boys, right, was out here doing this job, and then they go take a dookie. Now you got this type of booty cheeks on the toilet. And now everybody exposed to it. Yo, like I said, man, be appreciative of where you at right now, bro. You live in the 21st century, man. We got it good. Bro, I would never do that job butt-ass naked, bro. I'm not having somebody else, like, look at me. I'm at least gonna wear some pants.
but all service. The constant exposure to soot and such led to the development of tumors on their nethers.
Oof.
Once developed, they were lucky if they had a few years left in them.
Ooh.
Sure, your sack is out of whack, but damn, that chimney's clean.
Matchstick girl.
You've probably heard of
matchstick.
the radium girls, young women of the workforce that would paint luminous numbers and hands onto timepieces in the early 1900s. Well, this is similar. Towards the end of the 19th century, matchmaking was a pretty lucrative business. Not like pairing couples up, but making literal matches. By the late 1800s, there were about 25 matchmaking factories across Great Britain, employing over 4,000 chaps and chapettes.
British.
The process, as with most industries at the time, involved working with some nasty chemicals. The flavor of the day
I've heard
here
about this.
was white phosphorus, an unstable compound that burned fiercely when ignited.
Yeah, this is I think this is in Sherlock Holmes, or I don't remember. I've seen this in a movie where, yeah, there was girls working at a match factory.
Was white phosphorus, an unstable compound that burned fiercely when ignited. You know, perfect for the few seconds that you would need to set something ablaze. On top of being both easily ignitable and violently reactive with oxygen,
Yeah.
it had the triple whammy of also being extremely toxic. Of all matchmaking jobs, roughly half were involved in the direct handling of white phosphorus, with over 80% of the phosphorus fingerers being young women.
Yeah.
These women would come to be known as matchstick girls. Day in and day out, these women were tasked with packaging the dipped matchsticks, with an entire workforce handling as many as 10 million across a 10-hour shift, meeting the demand of the 250 million matches being burned in Britain
Hey,
every
early
single
days.
day.
Early
Remember that
days,
fire
man. Early days. If you wanted light, if you wanted, I guess, yeah, warmth, it was through fire. They didn't have electricity at the time, so yeah, there was a high demand for matches.
The million matches being burned in Britain every single day. Remember that fire is what got people through the day.
Correct.
Need to cook? Fire.
Oh, yeah,
Need
and
to keep
cooking,
warm? Fire. Need to see in the dark?
Fire. Yep.
Need to shrink your overhead? Fire. It was the biggest blessing humanity has ever discovered, and you can now summon it out of a little box in your pocket. The obvious problem is that fiddling with all of those fickle phosphorus fumes physically fucked you up. It was very common for both men and women to form phosphoric necrosis of the jaw.
Oh my
The
God.
condition, nicknamed Fossy jaw, developed after the long-term exposure to phosphorus fumes. Initial symptoms included simple toothaches, which evolved into complete tooth loss, abscesses,
Oh.
swelling of the gums, and complete necrosis of the jaw. To put
Oh.
it simply, your jaw rotted off. If you did get the jaw rot, there was about a 1 in 5 chance that the rest of your body would be rotting not long after
Oh.
from contracting an even worse condition known as death.
Chat, listen, bro. Unfortunately, in order for us to find out things, you gotta fuck around. And when things happen, you find a solution, and that's how we know not to do it. So unfortunately, bro, I feel bad for these people, but the only way we would know about these things is if it happened to someone. So we found out, we fucked around and we found out. Someone's had to do it in order for us to find out. So we needed them in terms of research, bro.
From contracting an even worse condition
sucks, though.
known as death. In 1888, over 1,400 matchstick girls, fed up with this blatant disregard for their safety, decided to strike, demanding better pay, working conditions, and abolition of unfair fines and penalties. The strike lasted for 2 weeks before demands were met and accepted.
Oh, they
20
have
years
to be
later-
accepted, bro. What? They need a fire to cook, lights, what else was it? Warmth and all that, bro. This was a product that everyone needed, so of course this was gonna pass. What's good, Gino? How you doing?
The strike lasted for 2 weeks before demands were met and accepted. 20 years later, in 1908, the British House of Commons completely banned the use of toxic white phosphorus in favor of the much safer and less toxic red phosphorus, which is what we use in matches today, but not in the match head, on the striking pad. So remember to light one up for the matchstick girls.
Burlap. What is this?
If you think your job's exhausting, try hauling an entire freaking ship up a river with your bros. These are burlaks, or barge haulers. They hauled barges. Typically dirt poor peasants just looking for enough coin to eat for a week, these men were tasked with strapping on a strap and using whatever strength they had left in them to pull in ships from the Caspian Sea all the way up the Volga River in the days of the Russian Empire.
Why didn't we help? Why didn't people help? They hauling in these massive ships, gang. That's like 5 tons. What? 5 tons? 500,000 tons or something. Nah, that's kind of messed up, bro. Come on.
Since ship traffic was near constant thanks to strong trade, burlaks were in high demand to carefully guide the vessels up the Volga. But why couldn't the ships just sail up the river, you might ask? Because the Volga flows outward towards the Caspian Sea, and there were rarely favorable winds to propel a ship up the river, lest you risk beaching your entire ship on the
Even like
banks.
currents or something.
So why not hire a bunch of exhausted and desperate poor people to do the work instead? Whoa, slow down, fellas. There's no need for us to be Russian. Depending on the load size, burlak groups could range from just a few men up to 150 fellas pulling a single ship.
Wow.
But there was a moment of respite for these workers. See, one advantage to working in the Russian Empire was the cold winters. Can't exactly move ships upstream when the waterways are completely frozen over.
Nice.
So burlaks were seasonal, working dawn until dusk, thaw till frost. But since the combination of being poor and not working meant certain death, the men would pick up odd jobs in the winter to barely scrape by.
What are we talking about?
I make a duck. Smudgy.
At the beginning of the 19th...
Oh, the ropes, right? Speaking of that, you ever seen the ropes holding them snap? Yeah, it sounds like a whip. It's like, whoosh. Yeah, they have some of those like that, or there are some that do it with metal nowadays. I've seen a video about that. It's one of, bro, that type of death is crazy, bro. Like your whole body just disintegrates if you get hit by that.
At the beginning of the 19th century, it is estimated that about
it would change.
600,000
Metal
burlaks
change or
worked in the
something.
Russian Empire. But the evolution of ship technology and the invention of the steam-powered ship rendered the job obsolete. By the end of the 19th century, the burlak profession had vanished over the horizon.
Oh, that wasn't that bad.
Now I know what you're thinking, so stop it. This has nothing to do with milking your own snake or giving little pinches to little snake nips, which don't exist. Snakes aren't mammals. The job of a snake milker was to extract their venom from their fangs. He looks cute, right? Think again. Snake venom was highly coveted for use in early warfare as a biological weapon, granting you the ability to proc tick damage over time to your enemies if you weren't able to finish them off yourself.
Weapon plus
Perhaps
plus.
the best weapons of choice to get slathered in the stuff were arrows. Lethality of arrows varied greatly. Take one in the skull? Yeah, sure, you're dead as a doornail. But take one in a less critical spot like an arm or a leg, assuming you don't sever an artery, and you might just live to see another day. But that all goes out the window if the arrow tip was dipped in some venomous drip.
Damn.
Quite a few civilizations have been noted for using envenomed or poisoned arrows throughout history. You've got the Khoisan people of southern Africa who have been using poisoned arrows for thousands of years in hunting large prey, and the Harmatilians who used viper venom against an invading Alexander the Great.
Oh.
But no army employed the use of snake venom better than the Scythians. Also duking it out against Alexander the Great, the Scythians developed their own iconic poison for warfare. Combining not only viper venom, but also putrefied human blood and excrement, even minor scrapes from their weapons were lethal. So on top of dealing with being envenomed, you also dealt with the horrors of gangrene and tetanus. So with all that said and done, yeah, snake milkers.
I get it. They dip it in the blood of what? People that are sick? Wait, what do you say? And again, chat, the only way they know this is because somebody had to get poisoned. Somebody had to get, or multiple people had to get bit by a snake or a viper or whatever the hell they said. And that's how you figure out, oh, okay, so these snakes have venoms. What if we then apply that to the arrows? And over time, bro, you get some results.
Were lethal. putrefied human blood and air, combining not only viper venom, but also putrefied human blood and excrement.
Jesus.
Even minor scrapes from their weapons were lethal. So on top of dealing with being envenomed, you also dealt with the horrors of gangrene and tetanus. So with all that said and done, yeah, snake milkers. Like I said, it was their job to wrangle and wrestle up enough snakes to meet the demand of entire armies.
Yeah, that's...
But luckily, this wasn't a time for catch and release practices. Kill the snakes, take their venom. That's the job. Of course, that is easier said than done. By nature, snakes are shy little fellas and pretty hard to find. Chances are you get struck before you even noticed one. One catch of their fangs is enough for it to be game over. Snake milkers were considered lucky if they even managed to survive a single round of collecting.
I think it's time for a quick science lesson.
Science
Venoms
lesson.
can be sorted into 3 main types: neurotoxic, hemotoxic, cytotoxic. Yikes. Neurotoxins strike and destroy all your nerves. You're agonized and paralyzed, as you can observe. Hemotoxins target all your healthy blood, thinning down or clotting up, so now you're done for, bud. Cytotoxins focus on killing all your cells, so you can probably guess that you won't be doing well. Just avoid snakes, and you'll be doing fine. I know you fellas and fellettes just love a good rhyme. So to close this chapter out,
hell no.
snake milkers still exist nowadays, though only for medical research and developing anti-venom rather than biological warfare. Or so we think.
Damn, so how the hell, how much venom and how many snakes? Like, what's the I guess, logistics of that? Like, bro, because they're supplying a whole army, dipping in the, and then with the amount of arrows, bro, that's a lot. How much venom were they getting?
Or so we think.
Drummer boy.
Imagine getting ready to charge onto a battlefield to either invade a country or defend your own. You see your fellow soldiers gearing up for battle with their trusty firearms, and you're given a drum. I gotta fight. Drummers, believe it or not, were a critical part of warfare in the days of yore. Since there were no such things as radios or more instantaneous methods of communication, drummer boys were employed and trained to maintain order on the battlefield, signaling commands, attacks, retreats, and everything in between.
Oh wow, so they're really important.
Peaking in popularity during the American Civil War, drummer boys were typically in their teenage years or young adulthood, though some more famous drummer boys were much younger. Little Charlie King of the Union Army died in battle at the age of just 13, being the youngest casualty in the Battle of Antietam. Itty Bitty Johnny Clem ran away from home and was taken in by the Union Army as a drummer boy at the ripe old age of 9.
Chatter. 9, bro. Like I said, think about what you got going on in your life and be appreciative, man. That boy was 9 years old being a drummer for a war. So it's like a musician, the conductor. And they were setting technically the tone of the war, because they were sending out messages and stuff like that. Fire.
Taken in by the Union Army as a drummer boy at the ripe old age of 9. Just a few years later, the little fella fought in the Battle of Chickamauga in 1863 at the age of 12, where he shot and killed a Confederate soldier. What you gonna do? Shoot. He was promoted to sergeant, eventually retiring from the United States Army in 1915 as a brigadier general.
Damn!
But that's a rare occurrence. In reality, it would have gone more like this. Despite what people may think, drummer boys did not lead troops into battle. That would be stupid. Instead, they would relay commands from behind soldier lines, though they were still known to be valuable targets.
Yeah.
If you break the communication line, you break down the army.
That's
Outside
intel,
of
boy.
combat, drummer boys had a wealth of other responsibilities, such as carrying messages between units, assisting battlefield surgeons with amputations, carting the wounded up the field, fetching supplies, or burying the dead. They very rarely carried weapons of their own, so if they had to defend themselves in the heat of battle, they were pretty shit out of luck.
Which is stupid. Yeah, that's stupid. I feel like that's dumb. Bro, just give them a pistol or something, or a bow and arrow, I don't know, a sword, a knife. Come on, man. Anyways, yeah, I honestly thought they were just used for morale, to set the morale, like to get them pumped up and shit, or I don't know, just to march. You feel me? But this is actually pretty insane. They have a lot of responsibilities. Groom of the stool.
If you wanted to be one of the most influential people in all of England, but don't have a drop of royal blood in you, you'd want to squeeze into the role of the groom of the stool, a job requiring you to get up real close and personal with the king or queen at the time. Look, we all have to go once or 12 times a day, so someone as prestigious and important as the king is gonna need help doing so. I mean, imagine feeling the sudden urge to blow out your britches, but you have to fight through said britches to accomplish the mission. Grooms of the Stool assisted the monarch with any labors regarding biological movements. This included helping the removal of clothing, preparation of the lavish and luxurious royal ship box, and the removal of the splendiferous solids, but not before their proper examination. Yeah, that's right. Grooms of the Stool were not only tasked with cleaning up the royal slurry, but making sure that the passings were healthy, taking notes of any abnormalities in appearance or frequency. These notes would be passed on to the king's personal physician to diagnose any possible ailments.
Oh.
Well, that's not very helpful, is it? After the log was sent down the river, the groom of the stool would also assist in the cleanup effort, either by handing the king his own personal cleaning cloth, or by taking up wiping duties themselves. Now you might think that this job sucked, but it was actually highly coveted and well respected, as grooms of the stool had access to the king outside of the public eye.
Exactly. That's why it was sought after, bro, because you have that one-on-one connection with the king, basically. And what did people do anytime there's a king? They be glazing, bro. Oh, my king. Getting on their knees, bro. What the hell? This is crazy, bro. Actually crazy.
Effort, either by handing the king his own personal cleaning cloth or by taking up wiping duties themselves. Now you might think that this job sucked, but it was actually highly coveted and well respected, as grooms of the stool had access to the king outside of the public eye, allowing for valuable private conversations. Commonly high-ranking nobles or politicians, grooms of the stool were known to have influence in many formal rulings, laws, or personal life. So that Anne Boleyn chick's hot, right? No. The first documented groom of the stool dates all the way back to 1495 under King Henry VII. The role continued to evolve over the years to the title of groom of the stole, though they were more so referred to as either the gentleman or gentlewoman of the bedchamber, depending on the monarch in charge, with responsibilities eventually focusing solely on the king or queen's wardrobe. The position was held for over 400 years until being formally discontinued under King Edward VII in 1901.
Damn.
Well, that's that video. I have plenty more terrible jobs for part 2.
That was actually fun.
Want to make it? Leave a comment. If you don't, okay.
Nah, yo, chat, what y'all think about their about their swag, bro?
Responsibilities eventually focusing solely on the king.
You know what I'm saying, chat? How the king looking? Nah, them shoes is crazy, bro. You wearing heels, I ain't gonna lie. That fit is not it, gang. And what is this? Gift wrappings on your legs. Nah, them legs is crazy. Well, honestly, that was a fun watch. That was actually a fun watch for sure, bro. Shout out to chat history, man. We just learned about the worst jobs in history.